and people from all over the country as far as Punjab and various parts of the country participated in this mass satyagraha launched by the GVSS, that is Goa Vimochan Sahayak Samiti. And the 15th of August 1955 is a memorable day in the freedom struggle of Goa, and the scene was this Patra Devi, which is the borders of Goa and Maharashtra. Satyagrahis in large numbers, they came in, and as they were entering the Goa border, the Portuguese police started firing at them, and there was this lady Sahodara Devi Rai, and she was holding the Indian tricolor in her hand, and one bullet hit her arm. So Sardar Karnal Singh, whom I consider as the hero in Goa's freedom struggle, he was at the rear of the satyagraha. He was only 21 years old, so he could not tolerate this firing at the woman, and so he came forward and he challenged the Portuguese to hit at him instead of firing at a woman. So he came forward, removed his shirt, and challenged the Portuguese to fire at him, and the Portuguese fired at him in cold blood, and he was lying in a pool of blood and he died on the spot. Sardar Karnal Singh Banipal, he was only 21 years of age. In May 1955 he was married, and in August 1955 he sacrificed his life for the sake of Goa's freedom. Fortunately, you can see his name here, Martyr Sardar Karnal Singh Banipal from Ludhiana, Punjab, 15th August 1955, Patra Devi.
But then that's where opinion was slightly divided. There were those who were violent in seeking, they wanted to overthrow through violence, which was more influenced by the communist ideology. The communist ideology of the time means bring about change through violence. There were those who were Gandhians, who wanted to bring about change through peaceful movement, which unfortunately in Goa was met very rough-handedly by the Portuguese authorities.
The first martyr who died for Goa's freedom struggle was Balaraya Mapari. He was beaten to death by Casimir Monteiro in the Mapsa police station on 18th of February 1955. He became the first martyr.
There was an Agent Casimiro Monteiro, who was apparently very brutal, and he killed many freedom fighters. He was famous for taking freedom fighters out, arresting them, and then taking them to a secluded spot and saying, now run, I'm setting you free. And as they walked away, he used to shoot them and kill them, or order his officers to kill them. There are lots of other atrocities I don't want to even mention, you know. And there was a prevailing atmosphere of fear in Goa. Nobody was willing to speak up, which even to this day, if you see, it's embedded in the psyche of Goans. They fear authority. Part of that comes from this period which went on up to the time when Agent Monteiro was here.
Following the killing of mass satyagrahis on the different borders of Goa on 15th August 1955, the government of India decided to stop the satyagrahis to marching into India, because they did not want these indiscriminate killings of the Indian satyagrahis.
The harm was already done. There were already people who were dead. There were people who were brutally tortured. The scars were too deep to start reconciliation at that time. So Goa's the fact that the Goans wanted the Portuguese regime out was established, but not all wanted to join India. There were those who wanted to join India, and there were those who wanted autonomy. And a very small part of the population probably never wanted to break away with Portugal, because there were family ties established with Portugal over 451 years. And that is basically why and how, you know, the freedom struggle in Goa started. There was a genuine freedom struggle.
There were three sections of people on the eve of Goa's liberation. There were freedom fighters who wanted Goa's liberation and integration with Mother India. Then there were a section of people who were pro-Portuguese, who wanted that the Portuguese rule should continue in Goa. And there were another set of people who wanted Goa to be an independent country. That was a small section. So you have three sets of opinion. The predominant was independence of Goa, liberation of Goa, and her integration with Mother India.
But then censorship was imposed in Goa. Censorship was total. not even an invitation card, a wedding invitation card could be published or could be sent out without the passado pelo censura. Huh? So that was the state of affairs. There was no, what you may say, communication between India and Goa. Therefore, there were no papers coming in. There was no information of any kind to the people of Goa. They were completely cut out in every way, and they did not know what was happening. Their only source of information was the emissora de Goa, which was Salazar's voice, and which managed to get some papers, I do not know how, and would they only make false propaganda about India and paint India in such a bad light that Goans would think that we do not want any link with India anymore. That is what it is. But they forgot that the blood that flew in the veins of the Goans was not Portuguese but Indian. So how could one's blood revolt against one's blood? That was not possible. Anyway, because the Indians people in Goa were completely cut out from every source of information, the morale of the people was also going down. And they were completely desperate. So what are we going to do now? Because there was so much vigilance, so much suspicion, so much harassment over here, because they were tightening their stranglehold on the Goans. Everybody was suspect. They knew that a Goan was not a Portuguese, Goan could not favor Portugal, Goan had to love India, and Goan was in favor of India. So their suspicion and harassment increased. There were raids, there were searches, there were arrests, all sorts of harassment was going on. Then we decided that we cannot allow our brethren to remain in this darkness and ignorance, and then this was like a very peaceful, it appeared to be very peaceful, but it was the peace of the grave, and it was a total imprisonment, so to say. The only alternative was a radio. Now which radio? Indian radio was not going to favor us and do anything, so we decided on an underground radio. That the answer came in that form. But how to do it? How was it possible? Fortunately for us, Dadra and Nagar Haveli had been liberated. So when Dadra and Nagar Haveli were liberated, just before the liberation, Portuguese had taken some high-powered transmitters to Dadra and Nagar Haveli to beam broadcasts of emissora de Goa to Goa from Nagar Haveli and to whatever it is. We made use of those transmitters, and we said we can now use them for our purpose, and that is how we established the radio.
But there were a group of young men who were not happy with the Gandhian ideology. So they said that to fight the Portuguese, we will use the violent means which were used by Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad in the context of India, and here they established the Azad Gomantak Dal, and it was founded by Vishwanath Lavande, and they had leaders such as Mohan Ranade, Balkrishna Bhosle, Prabhakar Sinari, Narayan Hari Naik, Tukaram Kankondkar, and many others.